Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. It's Anne here from Refined Staging and Interiors. I just wanted to go over a simple, somewhat simple makeover that I did on a fireplace in my own home in our basement. And my husband and I actually did a lot of the work over the last year or so, and we kind of let it sit a little too long, but we did finally finish it. And then I styled it and gave it kind of a finished look back in March when everything was kind of shut down. So I didn't want to order really anything online at that time. So I kind of shopped around my house and found some things that I sometimes use in my staging projects and just kind of gave it a fresh look with what I had. So I know fireplaces are probably the last thing on people's minds right now because it's been so hot, but with people not traveling the same way over the summer, now might be the perfect time to work on a fireplace of your own. If you want to change it, you may have the time now to do it. So I thought I would put it out there and hopefully find it helpful. We wanted to make over this fireplace, not spending a ton of money, and initially we didn't want to spend a lot of time doing it either, but that was our fault. So it didn't have to take that much time. So when we moved into this house several years ago, the basement had a red shag carpet, and the walls were an awful color. There was really nothing down here. The carpet was attached to the baseboards somehow. I'm not sure what had been done before. But anyways, we completely renovated the basement, and the brick on the fireplace behind me was more of a red-brown facade. It's not even real full-size bricks, but it's kind of a brick veneer. So I didn't mind the look of the brick, but I just did not like the color, and I definitely wanted to change that. We didn't want to spend a lot of money, completely redoing it with new tiling or stonework or anything of that nature. We wanted to keep our costs down, and we just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So the mantle is the original mantle. We did like the color of the wood. And now that the brick has been painted, I really like the contrast between the mantle and the brick. So I'm just going to talk about how we did it, what products we used, and then I'm going to show you how I styled it and show you the final look. So we first used on the brick veneer a primer, because it is such a porous surface. You can't just go ahead and paint it. It may not work out so well. So we used a product, I believe we got this at the Benjamin Moore store, and it's called Aqua Lock. And it is for interiors and exteriors, and it blocks household stains, it says. It's water-based, and it has low odor. So again, it is a primer and a sealer. So we put that over the brick first, and then it does dry pretty quickly. And then we used just a Regal Select paint from Benjamin Moore, and we chose the Ultimatte finish. You don't want anything too shiny. I don't think that would look all that great. So we chose the matte finish, and the color that we used is Decorator's White, because that's the color we've used on the trim, and I wanted it to match. And the code for Decorator's White is CC20. So that's what we used. So we did have to do a couple coats of the paint, but I believe we only did one coat of the primer. And right away we could see how good it was going to look, because the primer is white, obviously, And anyways, it's a quick transformation for brick and to give it an updated look. So I'm going to put this down. Okay, so once we finished painting it, then we had to make a decision on what to do, because the previous insert, gas insert that was here, had some brass on it, and we would have probably just painted the brass black, but the insert just stopped working. It wasn't doing us any good. It wasn't. It didn't owe us anything. There was no point in fixing it. It wasn't worth it. So we decided to get a new insert that was all black, and the only thing was that the dimensions of the fireplace were not exactly the same as our old fireplace. So what we ended up having was about a 1.5 inch gap all the way around the fireplace. So that's the way it sat for quite a while. The insert was there, it looked great, a brick and a gap all the way around. So we had to figure out what to use to fill that gap. So we ended up going to a local hardware store. This was before the pandemic started. And we got some molding, some trim, and luckily this piece at the top that has a little bit more to it, it's a little bit more ornate, but still pretty simple. That we did not have to cut down because it is finished off nicely on the sides. So that worked out perfectly in terms of length. The pieces on the side are very simple. There's no detailing on the side pieces whatsoever, and it's just flat, straight. We did have to cut them down. All the pieces were painted the same decorator's white. And then, so then that was finished, but then we thought, oh, how are we going to put this up? Because the gap was there, and these pieces of molding aren't all that wide, and you still need part of that to stick to the brick veneer. Like, you need enough surface space for the adhesive to go onto. So we ended up deciding on using a very heavy duty double-sided tape, and it worked out really well. So we ended up doing it that way, and we put it up, and fingers crossed nothing will happen. It won't end up falling down, but so far so good. It seems to be really really stuck on there quite well. So that's what we used for the trim to cover up our gap. And as I mentioned earlier, we left the original mantle because we liked the color, and now that the brick is painted, it has a really nice, fresh, crisp contrast. So after that was all finally finished, I wanted to style it and make it a little more exciting, but that's when the pandemic hit. So I didn't want to buy anything online. I couldn't go to any stores, so I went shopping in my home to see what I could find. So at first I was pulling out things like plants and different sizes of vases just to see what would work. I played around with things. This kind of didn't work with what I was wanting to achieve. I was hoping to style it in more of a coastal look. I really love coastal design, and with the colors that we've used, I thought that would work really well. So I took the plants away. Those weren't going to work. So I ended up playing with some vases, and this is one that I got. I liked the height of it, because you don't want everything the same height. It looks very boring and it just doesn't work. And I had an orchid stem that I thought I could use, and so I have another vase the same color as this, but it's shorter, and it just it wasn't enough. So I played around with things and I ended up putting this about here. So you can see the orchid is kind of overhanging the picture. And the height of the vase is quite nice. It's not as high as the picture, it's a little bit lower, and it's not too low. The picture I got from a bedroom upstairs, and the colors work really well with the look that I was trying to achieve, and the scenery is also very effective. It looks like it's maybe out west, and there's some mountains in the background with some water and a dock. And you can't see it in the video, but the ceiling, because this is a basement, the ceiling is quite low, so we didn't really have a lot of height to work with, so I was very limited on what kind of artwork I could put here. So this is not so high, and it's nice and wide, so this picture worked really well. So I brought in the vase, and the next piece is I decided to see how this coral would work. So that I'm just going to put there. I think that works quite well. And then to balance it out, I needed something more on the other side. I like things a little bit more symmetrical if I can. But you also want that visual balance, just so it's more pleasing to the eye. So on this side, it's pretty empty right now. So what I did was I brought in a basket with some nice coffee table books and magazines that kind of fit with the colors that I was wanting to use. So I'm going to put that here. And I had some driftwood that we found at Lake Huron last summer. So I just kind of set them, those pieces, in the basket with the books, just to kind of add some more wood, some more natural element. So you can see that the coffee table book in the front has kind of a lighter blue cover, and the Style at Home magazine behind has some blue letters for the title. So those are working really well. So I'm putting that. This is the only real basket that I had around that would work with the colors that I wanted. So it's not the most ideal basket that I probably would have picked, but it's okay, it works. And then I wanted a little bit more blue, so I used a nice blue lantern that I have, and there's a candle inside that looks a little bit like it's wrapped in rope. I really like nautical things, so I was lucky to have that around. So I'm just going to set this down here, and there we go. So it's a little bit more visually balanced now. We have some things on the top on this side, and now some things on the bottom on the other side. So it kind of helps your eye go around the fireplace. So as I said, I styled it in March. So it's taken me a while to do this video, but I used what I had around the house, and I didn't want to buy anything new. So I think it turned out fairly well based on what I had. So let me know if you like it or not. And hopefully this has inspired you to maybe give a fresh update to your own fireplace. So let me know if you like it, and give me a yes or no, thumbs up, and let me know if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'm always happy to hear from people and see what's going on with them, and if they have any design questions or staging questions. So please let me know, and good luck with your makeover if you decide to take the plunge. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.